развиваться, сами не зная когда. Может при слове «нет», а может при слове «да».
Look down. Look down. That fragile bubble of life float on a sea of nothing.
Dodi mi dago agwago mi dago zo zo to mi dago agwago mi dago zo zo to mi dago agwago mi dago zo zo to agaro agagbe to agbe na mi yo po gbere agaro agagbe to agbe na mi yo po gbere la fi n gba to ole tejo n gba to e mo dodo di o la n gba ba to ni po gbere agaro agagbe to agbe na okologo do mi na ke agbole fun kokure fun avule e fi anu mu e gaga anu mu le sansogbe
They are the gibbons. They are related to orangutan, chimpanzee, gorilla, and humans. And they start every morning with a duet. The male and female join in a complex duet. They do this on a regular basis. They sing the same duet every morning of their lives. I started studying these creatures and their song because I think that just like the gibbons, humans have the same need to sing.
Joho, the yellow moment to our not to me. Yawelo, elo glaze, saucier, or Hannah Buviname. Get the eye will lock bound, yen blockade in a granite, with 2 good night, with that book. I did it was here. Yato, I will Apache, I tell you why I will find. Put night, Mama te. Yo aye welo. Ke va puyo ho. E wa no yin. O se ye welo na fufu te. Ti da sa ye we. No na fufu te. Lo bo yin tai no. Di kan yin lo me. Kan ke me na. Bro ba unia. Wa pon ye welo pon we. Na e wa igomi. Ya wala bio kumla yi ovinae yego den chonosi le ya welo me ko ma ro pe atroton wa ya welo si ko ya welo si e we tane ko po en e kanu ko ko do ya welo si ndo de le me ko ma degbe ya welo ele black kan ke e unde pe wa we no nde ti o wa si na me enyo le ya wala mbo le ajawe ona le fa look at that no wa you ain't nade you know Jassy. You know now, Jassy, the willy. I will now, I mean, we are willy. You know, to phone me. And you will not down the way, or not ye. I will was in. Oh, was now, oh, was in the end of the now you will not down the way, da, or not do it, I will was in it, or was in the end of the way. Okay, then, let me, now I will lay. Ni mura jago odade po ni ja e me de va yakon manuma ke fote kwade nso mi bo tata ino cha corona kwere na mi
started studying these creatures and their song, and one day they inspired me to try to imitate them with a human voice, to make the same loud sounds that the gibbons make. And in doing so, all hell broke loose in the gibbon cages. All the different species started singing and vocalizing and running around their cages. Some of the females fled up in the rafters of the cages. And I ran around for 20 minutes singing, with the result that I became completely intoxicated. It lasted for hours. I went to a party that night. I was still just like drunk. With my scientist mind, I said, well, what has happened here is that my bloodstream has been flooded with endorphins. Why was it flooded with endorphins? Was it the loud sounds? Was it the exertion? What was it? With my scientist mind, I said, well, if we actually were singing and dancing apes before we became talking humans, it would mean, in a sense, that singing and dancing is built into our nature. The need for it is built into our nature, is what I think actually is the case. One could summarize that in a slogan. Man must dance. We are not fully human unless we sing and dance.
I chance my corners fish talk on Janana Sticona. I die your corner, I said I know, because you see at sleep on a Yakuta, Yakuena, Kidil, corner. I could have been near hat in the corner yet again, or this for the Shiat or corner in general, yet again, Hota Yakon. The leaning corner Hota yet, and I had on the car, whom Hota yet is out of this corner, to be Sydney, don't combine Hota lead of this corner. The Nasigo Aya corner, yes, and Lini corner, three signs, Kitchen Lini corner. Babe in Chickis, Beati, I had to have a car out to an attitude of it, so that begin digging all this. Was you have a car, it knew what I ever get the Lani Catholic for she had to a corner. Corner Sons Baby needed us go, was other corner yard on Chitty, in Hayat is on Chitty, was on our street, and it was on our street or this board. But I had the Sons Baby sneak to this corner, but you can then not leaning where you are. But I in Hada, Kashada, Yard at Gordishna.
ऐसा है भैया, आजकल कोई मानता नहीं है। नहीं तो ऐसा है कि हाँ अच्छा है, जो अच्छा सोचोगे तो अच्छा ही मिलेगा, है? बुरा सोचोगे तो बुरा मिलेगा, है? अच्छा है जीवन में सोचोगे कि हमको धर्म करना है, तो धर्म ही सहो, अधर्म में न जाओ दादा, धर्म ही सहो।
May all beings achieve happiness and the causes of happiness. May all be free from sorrow and the causes of sorrow. We believe in
Buddhism, shamanism,
the Nation of Islam,
our Lord Jesus Christ.
I believe of Hanuman.
Mauto ainda ho.
Iemanjá, Lucifer,
Kali,
Xangô,
Shiva,
Oxum,
Sita,
Yansan,
भगवान,
Exu,
Rama,
apocalypse.
Shankar.
छान किसी की न मान, छान किसी की न मान।
Faith.
Over here on Mother Earth, where everybody's running around, I got this and that, I call this and that, this is my God and all that. Everybody has to respect one another's religion. There is such thing as freedom of religion, freedom of worship. Rely not on the personality of the teacher, but on his message. Worshipping of a personality, that's not the point.
relying not on the word only, but meaning. Teacher is about the principle of truth. That's the teacher.
छान किसी की न मान छान किसी की न मान
We do know one thing: we don't care to cling to the life of this body until it naturally gives up. We don't care to be aborted by the body that we're wearing. We care more to abort it in proof to our Heavenly Father that we're ready to leave this place. We're ready to leave this place.
May all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness.
छान किसी की न मान
May all be free from sorrow and the causes of sorrow.
छान किसी की न मान
I don't know, I hate to mention names, but there are people going around all over the world saying that I'm the biggest, one of the famous spiritual leaders, you know. When it comes back down to you, just another human being, you know. Pair of eyes, pair of ears, and arms and legs. And if a person gets hungry and gets sick or may get diarrhea, anybody who steps on a banana peel will fall, you know. So we need to understand who we are and where we come from.
छान किसी की न मान छान किसी की न मान
Faith.
Not blind faith, but intelligent devotion.
We need to understand who we are and where we come from.
And so when I was there, I saw a squirrel or something, and so I was there and wanted to shoot it with the blowpipe, and I had my young gibbon on my shoulder, and so suddenly my kitten makes oot, and I knew when it makes like this, it sees something, a big animal, and so I was looking. I thought there was a barking deer or a wild boar or something, and I look everywhere and I don't see it, and I hear again the voice of my gibbon who says oot. And so, but I don't see anything. So I look where the gibbon looks, in which direction the gibbon looks, and the gibbon looked just like this beside me on the ground. So there was a big python just beside me who had swallowed the wild boar. So it was really like this. So this was the funny story. Stories that people who are bored from their life in modern societies like to hear. In the wilderness, there are plenty of wonders. You find them every day if you have open eyes. Your ears your eyes, your nose. You have to open all your senses to live in the wilderness. In the wilderness, you don't do anything to get rich. You just look for your daily food. And that's it. This is always the best place to live. Look at the quality of life. To live in the wilderness, to look for a place where there is quality of life. And when you have it, that's where you stay. And I've been 6 years there in the wilderness. When you do mistakes, you always get the bill quite immediately afterwards. In the wilderness, and it's you who have to pay for it. And this is a big difference to modern society where we can do whatever we want, and it's always others who have to pay for our mistakes.
Buun ya hune tuai tamen ke hune ngamit tanah itu rem ngan tuan sedin praik sahau itu ni sepadan terah tanah jin sadayah long damit situ mulai kedayah bak libang itu inah kenamit tirah tamen kirai kenat kebari okok hune itu lah kepe be episode tengkat sepadan jin sahau tapi kekat irah kepenilah pengejau orang Malaysia Melayu itu bawa kekat kepeni itu ai kino mah tuak kampung. Kuni pun tong tanah itu, kami tanah itu mah tuak kampung. Kena hak ni, tuak kampung mohon sahabat tong kekat irah. Menteri Pengejau Malaysia itu, Boya Barat, itu main tanah itu. Tapi main tanah inah benenak dengan kami. Main tanah ini hala ria tanah itu tengi, gini ya kecitai. Ame pun tanah itu hak perintah ame, tujuh terbaik perintah inah kena juk palu, kena juk alat tajam, kena juk lakau tong iot batu, dek kepehe homo, inah kemek barat, dek kau kuasa. Ame penantu pun kuasa.
The penants? Yeah. What can we do? They are free. I mean, we don't force people. This is a free society. So as I said, it's up to them. But if they choose to be free, to go from 3 to 3, what can we do?
Bawa ko jalan kini, mulai lah ke peni itu, bawa ko saat kini. Yang ngebel kita nak tu aku bel aku makan. Ayam kebam, anak kebam, pun tanah tu be no jalan mui. Usah kepe itu no usah ke. Aku kari, aku ya ke kenan. Yang ngebel tanah ke, yang ngebel bak ke, litut. Matahan ke moko, matahan ke muri.
Say, oh Penan, jungle wanderers of the tree, what would the future hold for thee? Would you choose to carry on with primitive tradition or cast that aside and join our civilization?
Matahan ke moko, matahan ke muri.
Look around you, wherever you're at. What do you see?
That's my bank's main office in Tokyo. And Industrial Bank of Japan. Next to us, Fuji Bank. And also, for example, the Tokyo, Bank of Tokyo Mitsubishi there, Toyo Trust there, and Sumitomo Trust.
Join our civilization.
Look around you, wherever you're at. What do you see?
Power.
Your progress, you go so fast, but you don't know for what.
Look around you.
For what?
Wherever you're at. What do you see?
Energy.
Square. Everything is square.
Akasingo.
Look around you, wherever you're at. What do you see? Square. Everything is so fine, so straight, so square.
Akasingo.
Look around you, wherever you're at. Lines are beginning to be placed everywhere. County lines, state lines, border lines.
Moving to the year 2000 now.
Akasingo.
Look around you.
Look down.
Wherever you're at.
Look down.
It's a circle.
That fragile bubble of life.
After all, Mother Earth is Mother Earth. She's not divided.
赤信号みんなで渡れば怖くない。
まり国のカルチャーとかそういうのとは関係ないんじゃないかな。まあ否定はするんだけど、仕事やってる上でのストレスの発散みたいな部分はやっぱりライブで出てるのかもしれない。前にね、ボスは呼んだことないけれど、同僚を呼んだことがあって、で、まあ、女の子なんかも来たんですけれど、彼女は僕らがやってる間中ずっとチューニングだと思ってたらしくて、でいつ始まるのかと思ってたら終わってたと、そう言ってました。でボスにはCD とか上げたことがあるんですけど、さっぱりわからないと言ってました。
Интернационал неуправляемых торпед. Интернационал неуправляемых торпед. Мы будем взрываться, сами не зная когда. Может при слове «нет», а может при слове «да».
As we watch our children play, will they ever see another day? Will it ever be another way? But we live in oppression and dismay.
If we leave the protection of the last virgin forests to the monkeys, it would be much more efficient than to leave it to all these big conferences on protection of forests. Some space to have fun for the next generations to come.
So see my children play. Focus, and they will all see another day.
Как истократия is the power of bad citizens.
Не следует слишком серьезно относиться к тому, что говорит или делает художник. Серьезное занятие – вооруженная борьба. Это слова художника Александра Бреннера.
And now in all world only какистократия.
В редакции Бреннер роздал текст, в котором в частности говорилось: «Хватит искусства. Я начинаю войну камней против дряни и мерзости власти».
Only bad power.
Не пора ли всем им узнать, что есть человек, которому отвратителен разгул смерти, холопства и правительственного разврата?
Интернационал неуправляемых торпед. Интернационал неуправляемых торпед.
Yes, let us build our bridge. A bridge wide enough and strong enough for every American to cross over to a blessed land of new promise.
We're ready to leave this place.
great family voyage. They came across the water on the Mayflower, sailing with a sail. Da, 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 da. They landed on Plymouth Rock. Now all of a sudden they meet the Indians. Oh, you know that's the most bullshitted story ever in the world. They were criminals, kicked out of England, put on a ship, get your ass out of here. General, what's his name, George Custard, or whatever his name is, the clown, old yellow hair. They glorified him. He was a great general, but he massacred. He was part of the biggest massacre ever in the world. And that was the Great Indian Campaign of 1886, when America decided, damn it, we got to have all the land. America glorifies death. So as I watch my children play in their playgrounds, as their bass pounds, I hear the gun sounds. So this is the end of our nation. 2000 faces us all. Write your shit on the wall.
Destroy bad power.
The world is thriving off violence right now. The world is on a violent point. This whole thing is crush, kill, and destroy. So many of our youth are turned out on narcotics, the promotion of selling blunts and selling crack, being a tough guy, a gangster. Now all of a sudden you see this over TV, these kids with these ropes and rags on, talking about they shooting blocks and drinking 40 ounces, and they're gonna smoke somebody. Now all of a sudden everybody's imitating this all over the world. Mass electro waves of violence. Mass electro waves of violence 24 hours a day as we watch our children play. Why is it that so many hip-hop groups sinlessly walk around here jibber-jabbing their lips and bullshit? Would you pay $25 to see somebody take to the stage, call your queen a bitch, tell you he'll fuck you up, he'll sell you a rock, watch you get hyped, and you can suck his dick and he'll blow your head off. Bang, you did it. Mass electro waves of violence. 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 Into your world, into your minds, into your eyes. See no disguise. Somebody's telling you a lie. Yeah. Stay back, man. Stay back. Don't feed me no crap. I'm having an attack on stupidity. So see my children play. La 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 la. Around the mulberry bush we go. Too slow. Catch up with your soul, bro.
Obviously, there's a lot of pain and suffering and sadness in the world. I think we have to try consciously to balance that out with feeling as much peace and bliss and ecstasy as we can. And that's why my motto is, let there be pleasure on earth and let it begin with me. What I've discovered is that most of our societies are based more on pain and suffering, and people are more comfortable with that. That's more acceptable, to be miserable and unhappy. To be truly ecstatic and blissful and happy is a rare thing. If you're into pleasure, you're a nymphomaniac, pleasure seeker, hedonist. It has negative connotations. If you're into pain, you're a martyr, a saint, a hero. You know, if you kill people, you get a monument in the park. Where are the monuments for the people who have had ecstasy and bliss and incredible orgasm, and that have made people so ecstatic, made people dance and play? There's no monuments for those things. I started making porn movies because I'm a very creative kind of person, and I found that in the sex business there was a lot of room for creativity. I liked filmmaking, and I liked sexuality, so I liked mixing them together. And I loved making porn movies when I was, 18, 19, 20. It was a great time in porn. It really was, before AIDS, and it was really, truly a blast. It was fun. It was creative. It was really exciting. And I enjoyed dabbling in the acting and trying all kinds of things and working with people. And I like the surrealism of the, room full of people watching intently you having sex. And, you could smell the sex all around and hear the sex, and everyone's just focused on it. It was beautiful. It was a lot of energy, and at that time it was really, really great. Then later years, a lot of drugs came in, and money became a bigger part of it, and competition, and I think it really changed. And now with AIDS, forget about it. Let there be pleasure on earth, and let it begin with me. I know for fact, from my experience, that sexual energy is very powerful energy, very powerful. And it's like fire, though. Fire can do amazing, wonderful things. It can also be very intense and scary and heavy and dangerous, and it can kill you. And sexual energy is like that, and it can also heal you, enlighten you, on a personal level. But I also think globally that if people were more orgasmic and more in touch with their sexuality and really allowed themselves more bliss and more pleasure, that it would be a more happy, pleasurable, beautiful world. Sex is enormous, it's huge, it's vast, it's like life itself. Just with the mind, you can, just by saying yes and opening the mind to ecstasy, you can go into bliss. Really, just ecstasy and orgasm is just a few breaths away. And if you just say yes and remember how it feels to be in bliss and pleasure, and you can always go back to it. And the more you practice, the easier it gets, I find. It's really quite simple. You just you can just play with that energy. It's like, it's just right there, It's like, it's like that life force energy, and through breathing and just saying yes and opening into it, it's like, instant bliss. It's like magic. It's It's like better than marijuana, alcohol, heroin, anything. I think it's nature's natural drug. Yeah. Let there be pleasure on earth, and let it begin with me. Breathe.
Ahi, 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 yeah. Marika wairu, ahi, ahi, yeah. Marika.
Constant dance of birth and death. Dance.
And somehow humans invented this trick, or whatever you might call it, of synchronizing group activity and the movements of each individual to a common pulse. Maybe to a drum, maybe to hand clapping, maybe the original pulse was stomping on the ground. Repetitive, monotonous rhythms. The monotonous, highly repetitive music. So we are the dancing apes. Must dance.
constant dance.
That fragile bubble of life.
It's a circle. Everything is a circle.
Float on a sea of nothing.
Please.
Why is everything impermanent? The reason why everything is impermanent, you know why? Because it's like that. Impermanent is the very nature of life. All is birth and death. The constant dance of birth and death. Now, death, as you know, is not our favorite subject. Something that we don't quite want to think about, but also at the same time, we can't quite avoid it either. Particularly in the modern world, as we do not look at life and death as a whole, we become very attached to this life and reject and deny death. As such, death becomes our ultimate fear, the last thing that we want to look at. In fact, actually, when you look into really that, if you look into the fear of death, I often realize, you see, I often tease people, if you're worried about death, I said, don't worry, I can promise you that you will all die successfully. You will all die successfully. Memento mori, which means remember dying. Because if we remember dying, we might remember what life is or what living is. The fear of death is connected with the fear of ourselves, because death is a mirror in which the true meaning of life is reflected. When you have to face death, you have to face yourself. You have to come to terms with yourself. The best time to prepare for death is now. Now. I could die at any moment. In fact, we could die at any moment. In fact, to die is very simple. You know, I assure you. You breathe out